Good afternoon. I'm Rick Dancer. Welcome to Get Real with Rick Dancer. We're happy to have you here. Um, I'm going to sit here while you guys are building an audience here. I'm learning something about this. I had a couple things I wanted to mention to you um, as we get going here. Um, but hold on, let me get back up here to the comments. It's going to ding me any second here. Is that me? Yeah, there we go. Well, hello. Welcome. We got a special show coming up tonight that I wanted to tell you about because it's super important and something that people need to know about, I think, because it's an important story that affects all of us and affected Oregon in a big way. Tonight, we are going to be doing a show with survivors of the Umpqua Community College shooting, which happened 5 years ago tomorrow. Tragic thing. 8 students were killed. Gunman killed himself. The instructor of the classroom was also killed, and many, many students were injured. So tonight, we have 2 of the moms of students who were murdered coming on the show with us. We have the Douglas County Sheriff is also coming on the show with us tonight. And then we have a really brave young woman who was in the classroom when the guns started to fire. And not when the guns started to fire, when the shooter started to murder students. And but her life is turning around finally. After 5 years, things are starting to look better. So this show is brought to you by Any Lab Tests Now. I don't know if you know who they are, but they're one of our clients, and they do over 8,000 different tests, everything from insulin tests to blood tests. They do shots, vitamin B12 shots, all kinds of stuff like that. If you need a panel done up, they can do all that for you, and they sponsor shows with us. And so we like to talk about them because we don't do this without having sponsors, because that's how we pay our mortgage. So hi guys, how are you doing? I was at LCC and taking a legal course through Umpqua when this happened. Man, that was frightening. I bet it was, Bill. These people have been really brave, and we've been working on this for, a week. A lot of people involved in putting this together. And that show tonight will be sponsored by Chris Dental, our dentist client, Michael Bratland. And Michael actually has a clinic down there, and he is a dentist in the area. So we'll be talking. He's our sponsor for tonight's show. But I wanted to let people know so that if you know someone from Roseburg, Douglas County, someone who was involved, I'm thinking this could be a super great thing to have out there for people, because everybody I'm talking to, yeah, they're broken and they're hurt, but every single one of them is hopeful, and so I see a lot of good coming from that, and for other people to be able to hear that. I had a couple other questions for you if you're open to this. What did you think of the presidential debates last night? I don't want to know who you thought won, because I think it was just done. I just love your stories. Keep up the great work. Thank you, Andrea. I want to know your opinion. The other thing I would really like to know, and this is going to cause some controversy, I know, but far be it from me to not stir up the shit. There's talk in Lane County, the health department is warning us that the numbers are rising and for COVID, and they're threatening to take us back to a phase 1. So I'm listening to people talk, and my question to you is, if they go back to a phase 1 in Lane County, would you do it? What would you do? I'm hearing people saying, I can't, my business will never survive. I can't do it. And so I want to know what you think. What do you think of that? And that's one of my other questions. So you can come on and talk to me a little bit about that. We need a lot of healing in the world today. What I found about the debates that I find very interesting. I mean, I think it was a shit show, and I think they both were just complete ridiculous. But here's the thing. We as people have an expectation that they would act better than we do. But I see some people on Facebook and social media that are just as big of assholes as they were last night. And I think, and you as a culture want them to act differently than we do, but yet we are at each other's throats. Exactly. That was an exact representation of America today. We can't debate, we interrupt, we don't listen, we just want our way, we want what we want, and they embarrass us because they are us, I think. I think that's exactly what we do, where I get it all the time. I'm hiding people's comments anymore because they embarrass me. They're so nasty. So we want our president to be, and we do this with lawmakers too, and I'm no fan of any politician, okay? So just so we get that out there. But I used to find this really funny. Why don't they balance the budget? Is your budget balanced? Huh? Do you owe more on your home? Are you in a deficit position just like the country? So why wouldn't they act just like us? And they are. They're breaking our country, and where most of America doesn't have enough savings to even survive. I think it's true. I can't afford to fight for the promise of unemployment that won't come. Yeah, Bill, I am not terrified of going back to a phase one, but I don't know what that's going to look like, and I don't know if a lot of people would do it, and that's, I think, their problem. I think they're going to be really hard pressed to do that, because I think a lot of people are just going to go, I can't do this again. And anyway, that's my thought. Couldn't agree with you more. There is no conversation in our country, just arguments and bickering. And I get people on here who come in and they try to get me to give an answer, because all they want to do is attack me. Well, I'm not an idiot, and I know what you're doing, and that's why I hide your comments. I have the power. The debate was just ridiculous shouting match. I give credit to Chris Wallace for maintaining his cool. The only thing is, I think Chris Wallace, I haven't done a presidential, obviously, but I've moderated gubernatorial ones here in the state of Oregon, the governor's races. I've done that on TV. And I think if it was me, I would have just said, okay, you know what? We're going to take a break here, go to a commercial. We'll be right back. And then pull it aside and say, okay, this is the rules. You can't do this anymore. And maybe he couldn't do that. I don't know, but I sure as hell would have tried. Outside the USS, I have a view from the outside, but the view from outside is also, a bit of a shit show. Wallace was a total jerk. Well, yeah. No Lyrus. What's going on, Rick? How you guys doing? We're just having a conference. Being retired, we do our best to support our businesses. You choose to remain open. Can't see closing down if the hospitals are still not at capacity. Lowest death rate. Yeah. Rick has the power. Yeah, I have the power. Well, I'm just not going to take people's shit. And I think we have become this place where people say, I gotcha. And that's no way to do things. We spend beyond our means. It doesn't work. So what can we do positively? First of all, you guys, you have to vote. You know what I mean? I know we got two people that right now, after last night, you kind of go, well, what do I do? You have to vote, and go do your homework, and that's on the local level. I would say this, I've never really said this before, but in Oregon right now, we are the super majority right now with the Democratic Party, because Oregonians just, I'm voting Democrat, and not seeing that you are now, the reason Kate Brown has as much power as she does is because we've given it to her, because all we have is one party running the show. And I'm not a fan of Republicans or Democrats or independents, but there are other parties, the Green Party, the Independent Party. You got to get some other people in there to help balance this out, because right now you've got one ideology running the entire state, and this is what we get. And that's because of our apathy and because we haven't been participating. My mental stability of our country is already on edge. I think doing this again, Rhonda, I 100% agree with you. And more than that, I think the mental stability of our children and what we're doing to them by keeping them home 3.5 hours, 5 days a week in front of a computer. I'm getting letters from parents like you would not believe. I don't have kids at home, so I'm not going through this. But their kids are they're just not, they're angry and they're mad. And we've got to get a control on that. The moderator has to control the conversation. Right. And maybe he doesn't have permission in a presidential one, but I think you just take on what you got to take on. He was in a no-win situation last night. David, I'd hate to be that guy, but I still think there's things you can do. It's the worst of two evils. Bingo. I don't know what that's bingo about. I always wonder why we can't just answer the question that is asked. Why is it so hard? Because they tell you not to. When I ran for Secretary of State, one of the biggest criticisms I had from my party was that I answered the questions. I know. Well, when I went in, I said I hated being a reporter and having politicians come on my show and they'd never answer the question. And it drove me nuts. And so I said, if I ever run for office, I'm going to answer all the questions. So I used to go to as far as, and I got myself in trouble for doing that, but that's what I said I was going to do. And I remember one time I used to go to, and if somebody asked me a question, because Secretary of State has a ton of things involved with it. So there's a lot of things you have to know. And I learned it all. In fact, somebody in one of the papers that didn't endorse me said, Rick Dancer knows this job better than Kate Brown does because he has to. Because she was a senator. She had clout in politics, and I was just a former news anchor. So I had to learn it better than she did, and I did. I knew that job way better than she did. But if there's something I didn't know, I would tell them, hey, give me your name. My staff will take your name. We'll go look up and find out what the answer is, and we'll call you. Does anybody else want to know that? And we take names, and then we go back and find the information. I could admit there that I didn't know. Don't vote a party, vote your beliefs. Exactly, Tammy. But we've become a state where we just, if you have a D by your name or an R, it says who you are to them. It's crazy that these two candidates are the candidates we have. I don't know, James. Yeah. Because you know why? Good people won't put their self out there. They won't. I'll never do it again. I think I'd make a hell of a governor. At least I'd represent all of you. I don't give a shit who you are. I don't care if you agree with me. At least I'd represent you. But I would never put my wife and family through that again. No, ever. Nonpartisan, that's what the state should be. We should be running this stuff without parties. You don't take people's shit. You're not afraid to say what's on your mind. I'm not going to say I'm not afraid. There's a cost. Oh, yeah. I lose people, but I gain a lot more people than I do. You know what I think it is? I don't think it's, I get so many people that say to me, you know, I don't always agree with you, but I like the fact that you say what you think. And I got to feel like that's where most Oregonians are. Most of us are people that, I may not agree with you on everything, but if you will at least be upfront with me, then we can have a conversation. And I'm an idealist, and I believe that that's where most people are. I believe there's a handful, and they have the media working with them because all the media cares about is getting a headline. And so they take over. A small business owner and who has family in red states that are doing much better than us in Oregon. I just don't see how we could shut down again. I agree, Josh. But they have put fear in people, and fear is a wonderful motivator. Scared the hell out of people. I was at Costco the other day, and there's a lady, and I'm not making fun of this man. I'm just saying this is a story. So the lady working at the gas pump, she's talking to me, and she has her mask on and everything. And I said, how are things going? She goes, God, Rick, it's really sad how scared people are, because I get older clients, people coming in here for gas, and they crack their window this big. They're handing their credit card out, and they have signs that say, fill it with regular, and they turn it around and it says, thank you. That's how fearful they are that we've made we've made them, that they can't even live. I don't think that's right. But that's me. Balance is what keeps stability. Yeah. And we don't have any. We have no balance. Wallace had no control of the debate. Horrid. The debate was shameful. Need mute buttons. Kathy, I feel like you're holding back. Oh my God. Tom Hunt. Exactly. Supermajority is giving Kate all the power. We need a balance that includes independence. I 100% agree with you, Tom. Um, we need, and I'm not a fan of the independent party either, because last time around, they endorsed a couple of candidates who are the most partisan people I've ever met in my life. And I'm like, okay, I'm done. And I was an independent for about 4 years. So I was a Democrat when I was younger. Then I was a Republican. Then I was a non-affiliated voter. Then I became an independent because I wanted to make it so the independents could have a shot at damaging the Republicans and Democratic Party. And then when they started becoming just like the Democrats and the Republicans, then I became a non-affiliated again, and I'm not going to go back to anything. Listen to the facts and not the opinions. Yeah, people don't do that. Facts get in the way of a good anger fit. If all voters voted for who they felt was right for this country instead of the lesser of two evils. Oh, Jerry, I love you. Exactly. I have voted for people who aren't even on the ballot because I hated the ones on the ballot so much or disliked them that I voted for somebody. I even voted for a dead congressman. I voted for Mark Hatfield one time and he was passed away because I knew he's the only person I could give my vote to and feel good about it. Shouldn't have to be one or the other. Exactly. Well, then you see people in the party, the way they make you feel bad. They used to always say this to me. If you're not on one side or the other, you're a fence sitter. I'm not a fence sitter. I'm doing more than you are, you piece of crap. I wish it was you and not Kate. I'm so glad it's not me. They'd be assassinating me. I agree. You'd make a hell of a governor. I would. I listen to people, but I don't want the job. I'm not going to run. So just so people know, I'm not, because there's people in there go, Rick Dancer's doing this, and this, because someday he wants to run. It's like, you don't have any clue as to what I'm doing. You have no clue. And I like it that way. Governor Dancer, yeah. They shut down Springfield schools. Yeah, I heard that. So freaking sad. You are open-minded. That is why we love you. I mean, you know what I mean? I don't think I know everything. I never have. And I truly believe that the answer is somewhere in the middle. You all put out your ideas. And if you go away, when I used to do a news story, when you made one side or the other happy, you knew you fucked up. And when you made both sides angry or not completely happy, or, well, you didn't really get our side, then you knew you did the right job. Because people are so biased. Now I don't even think the reporters know what they're doing. That's me, not affiliated. Yes, I'm not left or right. Yeah, you and I, Maliana, is that how you say that? It's a really pretty name if that's what it is. I have a right and a left, but I have a bigger middle section. Oh my gosh, you guys are crazy. How come I have been told repeatedly if I don't vote Democratic or Republican, then I'm wasting my vote. I never feel my vote is a waste. Jerry, that's just people that, yeah, no, they're wrong. They're wrong. It's your vote. And as long as you cast it. And for people who don't vote, don't come on here and talk and bitch. You have no reason to bitch. If you don't vote, you have no reason to bitch. No, because the only way to get your voice heard is to vote. And even that's questionable, but it's the one thing we have left. And in Oregon, we have a secret ballot. So you don't have to tell anybody how you voted or how you're going to vote because we have a secret ballot. You should interview the Proud Boys, get the truth out. Josh, if you know anybody with that group, I've had some of my liberal friends on here say, why don't you interview them? And I'm totally open to interviewing them. But I don't know them and I don't really have time to seek them out. But if any of you know any of them, their leadership or something, I'd be happy to have them on. I know it would be an interesting conversation. And, I've had Black Lives Matters on here before, so I'm not, playing one side or the other. Rick for president. Never. No. The middle's getting lost. No, it's not actually, Derek. The middle is starting to find its way. I think that COVID, the forest fires, I think the drop in the economy because of the reaction to COVID, I think all of this is, and maybe this is not, I think maybe this is my hope. So remember, I'm an idealist. So I believe in people. I do. But I see people waking up. And the reason I also know that people are waking up is because I see people on the far left and the far right getting angrier and angrier and louder and meaner. And the reason is because they realize, maybe not up here, but then here, that people are starting to get fed up and starting to do something. And that scares them because they've had control. The two parties have had control of the system from the beginning. Do you know where they came up with their name? I don't know, but it's stupid. That's my own opinion. It sounds like the dumbest thing ever. They need to just come up with something. I'm sorry. Oh, Jerry, that there might be a really good story there, but when I hear it, I'm going, as a marketer, I'm going, no, bad choice. In my opinion, Democrats have made it hard for conservative Republicans to talk about how they feel. We are not racist, and most Republicans just want the country to open up. Thank you for being you. Tressa Miltenberger, you are welcome. Tressa, I think the culture has taken the message on and made it hard for anybody to disagree with it. Because they're really good at I don't know if I want to do that. Yeah, everything I can think of right now in my head is just going to get my tit in a ringer. But it's if you don't believe this, then you're a racist. If you don't believe this, then you're this. When if you turned it around, it's kind of the same thing. How can you? I was at this rally. I was actually at a kindness seminar here in Eugene. They had this kindness seminar, and I was one of the speakers. And as I was walking up, there's these activists out there, and they're screaming and yelling and about homelessness and stuff. And I had been outspoken about lawlessness, and their message is that if you don't like lawlessness, you don't like homelessness. So they're trying to put those two together, and I was separating them, and that made them angry because they are two separate issues for me. But to them, there's no power, and nobody thinks lawlessness is good. And so they had no power. So anyway, I'm walking up and they're screaming. She sees me, and this lady starts going, "Rick," at the top of her lungs, "Rick Dancer's a hater. He's a hater." And I walked up to her and I said, "Or you and I just think differently. You're a hater." And she's screaming at me. And all these people walking into this seminar, I'm a guest speaker. And they're yelling, "I'm a hater." So I walked up to her and really calmly and carefully. I walked up to her and I looked at her and I said, "So the only hate I hear is coming out of your mouth. And I'm the one who got asked to speak at the kindness seminar, not you." And she goes, "Fuck you." And I turned around and walked away and into the building. It was awesome. But I think it's thinking through things like that, Put enough yes and wide open now. Yeah, I got a new haircut. You like that, Anna? I'm going to do something a little different. I'm going to grow some of this out back in here, and we're going to do something a little different. So I was getting tired of all the stuff in the back, and it was hard to keep managed. And so, so I went to my barber, and I just love Mario at Renegade Barbershop. He's awesome. He says, "Let's do it. It's going to take a few months because we're going to grow some of this, and then we might start moving it forward so I can get more people thinking I'm trying to be a hipster." See, it's hard to even talk about it. Josh, it's true. I think through a lot of things that I say because there's several topics I would love to jump on right now. But to do so, what happens is, there's a line in the Bible, "Only a fool tells all he knows." And once you give too much information to people, then all they do is they zero in on that. And that's especially what culture does right now. One little thing is zero in, and everything else that you said that was good is thrown away. So you have to be really careful how you talk to people. Here's my buddy Zachary Visionoff. He's if you guys think I'm a radical, this guy taught me how to be a radical. Any person who votes gets all the personal information released to anyone who goes into the election office with about $50. Okay, Zach, don't tell people not to vote. Come on. Back in the day, my grandparents did not talk politics or religion. Nobody's business. As a family, we could ask questions, but back here, finger pointing, there you go. Not a great way to win hearts and minds. Um, well, the DMV sells your info too, so wrong. Good for you. Name calling is what you do when you don't understand facts. Yep. Rick loved the porn stash photo. You guys go to my Facebook page. I posted a picture. A friend of mine who works at KZI sent me this ad they did in 1991 when I had black hair and a black porn mustache. And that's how I looked back then. And people are going, "Oh my God, you were so young." And it's like, well, what are you talking about? This is still, I may look like Abraham, but I'm still young. About the politically correct restrictions speech that was around us. It's difficult to have a conversation when you're shut down over and over. Yeah. I've learned to just hide those people. I've lost a bunch of people too. I noticed today some people that used to be friends of mine and they're unfriended me. But you know what? We've also gained like 3,000 people. Do you know how our votes are counted? What's the process? I lost faith in my vote even being counted. They go through a machine and a process in there. So I'm going to vote, and I'm not going to overly worry about that till that debate comes up. I'm just for me. What if the lady was the same one that jumped all over me on Facebook a few weeks back? No, I don't think this lady has been out of. I think she had some issues. How about designs in the back of your hair? Rebecca, I would do that. What I'm going to do, since you're asking, I'm going to grow it down like in those mohawk kind of things, but so it's just not like a long ponytail, but grow it down like that, how people are doing it now. That's kind of the plan. We just figured this out yesterday. I just said, God, I can't have this hair like just because it kept flipping out all the time and it was becoming a pain. I mean, it was super fun and cool, and I did that. I'm just ready to do something different. I don't ever want to be a person. I remember that Rick Dancer. Saw him every day. You know what I don't want to be? I don't want to be the Rick Dancer tomorrow that I am today. I want to keep reinventing who I am. Doesn't mean I'm making me into somebody different. I'm still Rick Dancer. I'm still the guy. I'm still a little kid who got, beat up on the bus. He's still there. He's part of me. It took me a long time to accept that and to not push him away. I know I'm getting too serious. I'm sorry. I worked for a lot of years to try to hide that little Rick Dancer, and when I finally kind of brought them all together and stuff. But what I mean by the different tomorrow than I am today, I don't want to be stagnant. I get a lot of millennials that come on and follow me and stuff, and they're always like, "Oh my God, you're not like an old man or something." And I'm not trying to be young. I am young. I'm a person who thinks of possibilities, and I really do believe the best about most people. I mean, it's hard because I've seen a lot of really nasty people out there. But it's like the other day on Monday, I went up the river because a lady called me and her house was destroyed in the fire. And you sit and talk to people like that. And she wasn't crying. She was really realistic about it. She says, now we'll finally get to remodel. But they're still like, they don't know where to start and anything like that. And that's what I really love about my life is like tonight, I am so excited. God, why am I getting emotional? I'm really excited tonight to give these people from the Umpqua Community College shooting an opportunity to tell what's going on in their life and how hard it's been and how they survive or what they do. I that's when I'm like, that's when I know that I'm being authentic to who I am. It's when I can provide a place because of clients like Any Lab Test Now, Chris Dental, that I can provide a place for people to give you some wisdom. I mean, when else are you going to be able to sit with someone who went through such a horrific thing? And I don't want to tell this girl's story because she's going to tell you tonight. But she found something after 2 years or more of depression, and she found something that has restored her desire to live. And these parents who've lost their kids, and they're not coming back. But by listening to them and hearing their pain and their and the next thing coming, you can gain some wisdom from that for your own life. So that's kind of, why that's what gets me up in the morning. And I like to break you account, and you wouldn't hear from us so often. Well, that's good. I love the way you think, how you listen to everyone, and how you just say, don't give a crap. I know. How about people feel accidentally bumped the send button before I'm typing? Okay, that's Rebecca, I've done that before, but usually it's when I wrote something bad. Social Dilemma movie, The Impact of Technology. Brian, I watched that, and if I didn't work on here, I'd be really careful, and I am pretty careful. I mean, but they have access to all my information. You do have to be really careful and have to limit some of what you're doing. So I should let you guys go. But if you would tune in tonight, and you can go on your page, on my page, and I don't remember how you do this. I've done it with other people, but you can follow. So every time I go live, it'll shoot into you live. Some of you are already doing that, I know. But you can do that, and that way tonight at 5, when that comes on, you'll be there. But I think it's really worth your time. And I know that from doing this for my entire life, you don't know how many times I've gone to a story on a horrendous crime or victimization or terrible thing, and people say, well, you shouldn't talk to him because you're exploiting him or something, and I'm not. And then you get done, and when that person looks at you and they smile and say, oh, that feels so good, thank you for letting me talk and listening. And I've had so many crime victims from the past reach out to me here in the future and say, you don't know, when you talked to me that time and you told, there was this one person, and I won't say who she was, but her child was murdered and beaten. And I still know his name, but I'm not going to bring it up. But this kid took the child from the feet and smacked him against the wall and killed him. And the mom was doing interviews with me. And we got done with the interview. We're at the courthouse, and her whole family was sitting there. And I remember, and she wrote me, and her sister wrote me and said, you never knew how much that meant to us. I remember saying, okay, Rick Dancer, the reporter, is gone. Now I'm a person. Can I just tell you something? And they went, yeah. And I go, let's say her name's Gina. Gina, this is not your fault. He chose to do this to your child. This is not your fault. And the whole family just starts crying. And so years later, this Gina's sister writes me and says, you changed our family forever because you made it. And we all just looked at each other and went, oh my God, he took a huge risk and he told us something. But that's kind of how I do things. And I do get in trouble for that sometimes. And sometimes it comes back to haunt me. But you know what? I'm never going to stop that. I will never stop doing that. Justin, I think you should be able to, If it's not on this page, it's also on my Get Real with Rick Dancer page. I don't know which one you're on. This broadcast on 3 different pages at once. If you want to share this, go to my Get Real with Rick Dancer page, and that's like a page, and you should be able to share it from anywhere from that. If you're on my Rick Dancer profile, my personal page, then if you're not my friend, you're a follower, which there's 12,000 of you. You can't share it from that. You have to go to the other page, but there is a way to do that. Saying this fraud. Oh my God, the fraud things. Rebecca, it's what, yeah, I still lose it, but it's what I do. Because you know what? In the end, if you watch tonight, you'll see these people are all pretty amazing. And you know what? They need you. You need that. They need to have an audience to be able to voice that with. So again, this show is sponsored by Any Lab Test Now. And the way you guys can help me is they are a sponsor. So if you need lab work done, if you need something like that done, or need vitamin shots, they do vitamin B12 shots. Oh my God, they're awesome. They also do STD testing, all kinds of stuff. But they're over on Garfield, and just let them know when you go in that you saw this on my show, and that helps them. That helps them, which is my job, and that helps me, and that's yours. All right, we'll talk to you tonight, 5 o'clock, right here. We'll see you, and I guarantee you, you will feel something. You will definitely feel something.